Hello Saints, welcome in for another video here in the middle of the week. Wanted to take just a brief look at a prayer that Paul wrote and prayed for the church of Philippi. Certainly not going to try to read the whole passage, but I just want to take a look at a few of his words. In Philippians 1, he said, "It is my prayer that your love, your agape, may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God." And all of that pivots on God's agape abounding in us and with us more and more. In other words, our agape, our love, that it would increase, it would grow, and not only in how we feel or how we feel towards someone, but that it would grow in our impact and usefulness. Paul prays for several of the churches in the New Testament, and the Philippi is no exception. And he prays that their love would abound more and more with knowledge and discernment. With knowledge, because of the fact that agape is an action word, because of the fact that agape results in our doing something for someone, it's important that we have knowledge and discernment. The ESV Study Bible says this is so that the Philippians' love or agape would find expression in wise actions that would truly benefit others and glorify God. The end result of agape is that it benefits others. And we have to have wisdom, we have to have discernment and knowledge to be able to do that. He also says that agape will cause them to be pure and blameless before God. Pure and blameless. Well, in this, the short answer, or the short explanation of that is that if we are given to agape, then we're given to someone else. We are not consumed with ourselves. And so we are pure and blameless. And so it begs the question, what does agape look like? What does love, biblical love, look like? I could spend a significant amount of time talking about what it does not look like. But I'd rather just talk about what it is. Dallas Willard, a great man of God who's now in heaven, said, "Love is not desire. It is to will the good of others." True agape always expresses itself in the good of others. Now, Willard went on to say, "We say I love chocolate cake, but what we really want to do is eat the chocolate cake. We love something or someone when we promote its good for its own sake." And so you may say you love someone or you appreciate someone, but is that rooted in what they can do for you? Or is it based solely on their benefit and what's good for them? That's about it. So I want to go real quick through the elements of 1 Corinthians 13. Not going to read it, not even going to read one verse. I just want to tell you that 1 Corinthians 13 teaches us that love is patient. Love is patient. God's love waits patiently to see the end result of the process. God's love does not jump to conclusions. He also says love is kind. And that really, the word there, kind, means that it's not demanding, but accommodating, and assumes a disposition of service. Again, it's not about self, but it's about others. He also says love does not envy, or is it jealous? Now, of course, we all deal with that. Envy or jealousy in our lives and in our hearts would seek to dilute what God has done by desiring the blessing that someone else has, rather than rejoicing with them in the fact that they are blessed. What about me? Why didn't that happen to me? Love will always rejoice with others. It will rejoice with those that he has blessed, instead of moaning, "Why not me?" Did he forget about me? And there are a lot of things you could get into there about worth and identity. He goes on to say love does not brag, or love does not boast. When we are exhibiting God's nature, we will not be concerned with drawing attention to ourselves or our exploits. Have you ever been in a conversation and someone talk about something they accomplished, or their child or their grandchild accomplished, and then someone has to one up that? Well, mine did, or I did. That's not agape. Agape lets the person enjoy their moment instead of trying to one up that moment. Which is similar to the next thing that Paul says is love is not arrogant. Love is not arrogant, or love is not inflated. All of us know people who have an inflated view of their importance, and some of us have had to deal with that, having an inflated view of our importance. He says love is not rude, or love does not act unbecomingly. Agape is not insensitive to the current circumstances, and it behaves properly. Agape behaves properly with civility and propriety. Love is not rude, but it acts with civility according to the circumstance. And of course, we've said this several times, but Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 13 that love does not seek its own. Love is not self-centered. Agape always responds with the interest in the good of others. As a matter of fact, Paul writes, love does not insist on its own way. Love does not demand its rights necessarily. That's a whole topic for another day. But he also says love is not provoked, or easily provoked, or irritated. Well, and me to every one of us. Agape teaches us to not jump to conclusions, as I said earlier, or to respond too quickly to adverse circumstances. Most of us, when we've gotten ourselves in trouble, that's exactly what we've done. We've been faced with a moment, and we have responded quickly, and we've been provoked easily. Another thing Paul says is agape keeps no record of wrongs. The New Jerusalem Bible says it does not store up grievances. The problem is that sometimes we keep a ledger of wrongs, of wrongdoings. And the reason we do that is because we don't believe that God's going to deal with the injustice. We don't really believe that God's going to deal with what's happened, or we don't like the way he's going to deal with it. He goes on to say love does not rejoice in wrongdoing or injustice. Proverbs says, do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles. Oh me. He finishes up 1 Corinthians 13 by saying love covers all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love is constant. Love is not wishy-washy. Love is not fickle. It's good to believe the best about people without being blindly naive. I'd say we need to err on believing the best about people. He finishes up by saying love never fails. Love survives everything. Love never gives up. We need to be, you, me, we need to be people who are not counted until we can be counted upon. I'll repeat that. We need to be people who are not counted until we can be counted upon. Now receive that prayer in Philippians as unto yourself, as Paul was praying for you. Embrace what agape looks like and the impact that agape has on your life and others. And then you and me and all God's children will be able to go out there and act like somebody. You have yourself a good week. God bless you.